Hello, welcome to Have Roots, Will Travel. My name is Lisa Elvin Stoltari, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. This year, we've been focusing on Les Filles du Roi, taking each one of them as an episode and really getting to know the biographies. I've had so many people ask me for this one or that one, so this is how it kind of evolved from me just doing a few of my own to becoming a full-fledged project. So, with that being said, I just want to let you know that we are on episode 116, I believe. Yes, we're on 116. And so 115 episodes are all located on my website. If you want to go to Have Roots Will Travel and look at the ones that we've done previously, they are, of course, on YouTube, but they might be easier to find on my website. And also, I post on Facebook any new video that I produce. I post the update for that, so you might want to look at that. Also, love for you to subscribe and click on that notifications alert. All of the above helps me out greatly. So with that being said, let's get started and get to know who's number 116. So her name was Marguerite Pacquet. Now, there are a few, first of all, it's a viewer request, and of course I found her in my files. My best friend and my high school best friend, who we share the same birthday, is this is definitely their great grandmother. The problem is that when I began exploring her, I realized that she had now been demoted, if you will, and is no longer viewed by certain associations as a fille du roi. The reason being is that her father and brother came in 1667, and she probably arrived in 1670. But the fact that she had family here means that a fille du roi is considered a fille du roi only if she came alone. And so that is where I think. And here's where I differ. I'm really not that concerned with her being a fille du roi or not. I know she existed. I know at one time she was a fille du roi. And as you'll get to see, there are some indications that, I don't know, I think she is a fille du roi. So with that being said, let's get started and get to know Marguerite a little bit better. So Marguerite was born in 1646 in the city of Poitiers in the parish of St. Paul. Her parents were Emery Pacquet and Vincent I believe it's Beaumont. And just to show you where it is, this Poitiers, it is located in that region of France that we go to time and again called Nouvelle-Aquitaine, which is that region. And then the département is the département of Vienne, and you can see it on the map where it would be. And Poitiers is contained in there. Eleanor of Aquitaine frequently resided in this town, which she embellished and fortified, and in 1199 entrusted it with communal rights. In 1152, she married the future King Henry II of England in Poitiers Cathedral. So that's pretty amazing. History is so steeped as part of Poitiers, and it was truly, one of those places where, it was it was actually founded by the Pictones, a Gaulish tribe, and rose to prominence as the former capital of Poitou. And so a pivotal turning point came in AD 732 when somewhere near Poitiers, the exact site is not known, the cavalry of Charles Martel defeated the Muslim forces of Abd ar-Rahman, governor of Cordoba, thus ending the Muslim attempts to conquer France. Who knew? Until the revolution, this sublimely beautiful city was known as the town of 100 bell towers. The remarkable churches that remain today are in part a legacy of Eleanor of Aquitaine's financial support. So it's truly an amazing place. And she was, the St. Paul Cathedral no longer is there, but I included a map of where it was. And of course, this picture here on the left is Poitiers, the way it looks today, which is incredibly charming. So here's the deal. Marguerite would come to New France on a ship, and I don't know when, 1667 or 1670. It seems to be coalescing around the 1670. I think her father and her brother came in 1667, and I think she arrived in 1670. She would bring a dowry value, no matter what, of 400 pounds. The man she selected and who selected her, his name was François Biville dit Le Picard, and he was born in 1635 in a town called Boulanges-sur-Mer. As you can imagine, Boulanges-sur-Mer means Boulanges and on the sea. So it's right on the sea. Is a coastal city, and it's found in the department of the Pas-de-Calais, okay, which is part of the Hauts-de-France region. So you can see the Hauts-de-France. You see how it's right next to Normandy, okay? So it's in the very, very top northernmost part, and then where he is born is right there, and he's probably right in the corner of at the sea level, okay, right? Like at the very, very top of it. So it's kind of a neat kind of little town. It's an ancient town and was the main Roman port for trade and for communication with the province of Britain. The church where Francois would have been baptized is pictured on the left. It dates from the 12th century. Just amazing these places exist, right? So he would arrive in New France, as so many did before him, with the Carignan-Salieres Regiment. He was part of the Grand Fontaine Company that arrived on August 1765. After his tenure with the Carignan-Salieres, he became a domestic, and he got work. He worked on the sur la ferme de la Seigneurie Denis. So there was a Seigneurie Denis, and he was working there. That's where he is in the 1666 census, I believe, or 67 census. So that's kind of cool that we see, what he was doing prior to his marriage. So Marguerite and François were married on November 26, 1670, and she was given the king's gift of 50 pounds, and the intended Jacques Talon signed her marriage contract because she couldn't sign it. So I don't know. I just think she's a king's daughter. But who am I, right? But she was married in Quebec City. So let's see where they started their life. Down at wonderful Quebec City. And let's review a little bit about Quebec City. It's the capital, obviously, of the province of Quebec, and 500,000 people live directly in Quebec City. Quebec was originally named by the Algonquins, who named the area Quebec, K-E-B-E-C. Their native language meant where the river narrows. Quebec City lies where the St. Lawrence River narrows. Samuel de Champlain founded a French settlement here in 1608 and called it Ville de Québec, or Quebec City. The city walls which surround it still date back to this time period, making Quebec City the only city with remaining city walls in North America. There's so much to see in Quebec City, but I've chosen 5 buildings that were there when they lived in Quebec City. I'd like to imagine that I am seeing what they saw. So we have the Maison Jacquette, which is the oldest surviving private residence in Quebec. It dates from 1675. And if you'd like to tour it, it's actually home to a famous restaurant, appropriately called Aux Anciens Canadiens. We have the Auberge on the bottom, Place d'Armes, which dates even further. It's a commercial building from 1620 and was built for one of the pioneers of New France, Guillaume Couillard. A wonderful restaurant called Bistro 1640 is found on the first floor. The Auberge du Trésor Hotel occupies the other 2 floors. Le Petit Champlain is on the right here, on the extreme right, is claimed to be the oldest commercial district in North America. The breakneck stairs, which you see here, are the actual stairs that led to Samuel de Champlain's house, if you will. And they were originally in wood, and then they put them in stone and all the, and they're jokingly called breakneck stairs because people, if you fall down, you might break your neck. But no one yet has broken their neck. And then we have, of course, the Ursuline Monastery, which is a very important part of Filles du Roi history because of the support that the Filles du Roi got from the Ursuline nuns. So that is part of the Quebec history. So François and Marguerite would have 3 children. Their oldest, François Joseph, would unfortunately pass away at the age of 17. Catherine would marry Jacques Fortin and have 9 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. And Jean would pass away sometime after his 6th birthday. So Francois died suddenly at the age of 45 on July 10th, 1675. Marguerite was left pregnant with 2 small children. She would give birth to Jean at the end of August 1675. Just amazing. And in true New France fashion, one man dies and another arrives. The new husband, the new groom, his name was Bernard Gontier, and he was born in 1643 in Paris. His church was the Saint-Séverin Church. He was born in the 5th arrondissement. His parents were Jean Gontier and Marie Lé. The Church of Saint-Séverin dates from the 12th century and was expanded in the 15th and 17th century. It's one of the oldest churches that is still standing on the left bank. The 5th arrondissement of Paris, the arrondissement, remember the circle, you can see it on the left where it's highlighted, number 5, is also known as Panthéon. It's situated on the rive gauche, the left bank of the river Seine. It's one of the capital's central arrondissements. The arrondissement is notable for being the location of the Quartier Latin, a district dominated by universities, colleges, and prestigious high schools, since the 12th century when the Sorbonne University was created. It's home to so many museums and cultural exhibits. It also can trace it's one of the oldest districts, and there are traces of the area's past in such sites as the Arène du Lutèce, which is a Roman amphitheater, as well as the Thermes de Cluny, a Roman thermal bath. And you can see how, again, all the pictures in Paris always look like the same. They look amazing. So this is the 5th arrondissement. So it's that's how it looks today. And this is where Bernard, her next husband, would come from. So Bernard would probably come to New France around 1660, as he was confirmed in Quebec City as of March 1664. We also find him in Beaupré in the 1666 census, where he's listed as a shoemaker, although he would also be a master carpenter. So Bernard and Marguerite were married on January 20th, 1676. So she had a 6-month-old with 2 other children. So Bernard and Marguerite would move to Beaumont, getting out of Quebec, and creating their own lives. The first people to go to Beaumont were, as we've talked about, were people from Ile d'Orléans, and this was an area where many people would emigrate, obviously from Quebec City. They wanted just more room, more elbow room, as even today we have that kind of lust for more room. And in 1672, the intendant Jean Talon grants Charles Couillard the seigneurie of Beaumont from the east of the village to the current road to Saint-Charles. And he also gave the other half to François Bissot, the seigneurie de Vincent, the west of the town. Agriculture, this was really a farming community, and the 3 watercourses allowed the operation of the mills, but the population grew very, very slowly. So you can see the church that's there. You can see the beauty of it all. And this is the 1681 census where we have Bernard, we have Marguerite, their children, François 10, Catherine, Jean, and 7. Jean is 6. So those are her 3 children from her first husband. Then we have Louis, who's 3 years old. We have 1 gun, and we have 3 enfants à Valeur. So they have about an acre of land. So they would go on, Bernard and Marguerite, to have 6 children. So Bernard would pass away at 2 years of age. Louis would marry Geneviève Gagne and have 8 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. Jean-Baptiste would marry Geneviève Roy and have 11 children, 7 of whom made it to adulthood. Denis would marry Angélique Nadeau and have 6 children, all of whom would make it. Marguerite would marry Antoine Hébert and have 2 children, both of whom made it, before dying at the very young age of 26. Hélène would marry Thomas Lefebvre and have 7 children, 3 of whom made it to adulthood, before herself dying at age 33. We don't know when Marguerite died. We only know that there's no evidence of her that exists from 1687, which is the baptism of her daughter Marie-Hélène, to July 31st, 1698, when an inventory of assets was filed. 3 months later, Bernard would marry Marie-Françoise Borg, with whom he would have 2 more children. Bernard would go on to live until the age of 72 and would die January 13th, 1716. Several of his descendants in the areas of Lévis, Bellechasse, and Montmagny adopted the surname of Bernard. Other descendants in this area of Charlevoix and Matane adopted the surname of Gauthier. So it's really kind of interesting to see how it evolves. So that is his death certificate. And I posted a picture of the cemetery at Beaumont, where I'm hoping that is where Marguerite would have been buried. And this is 6 resources that I could recommend with no hesitation. La Société des Filles du Roi is an amazing website. And also it is a genealogy lineage society, which you become a member of by proving your lineage. I am the member chairperson for that association that has existed since 1994. And then we have number 2, Quebec Genealogical E-Society, a little younger, about 6 or 7 years. Wonderful website, and they do so many webinars and lots of, online kind of stuff. Very, very new, and I love when we think outside the box for how we can, join in genealogy circles. Then number 3 is Nos Origines, which is a free site, which is amazing in terms of the amount of information there is there. Genealogy Quebec is myancestry.com for French Canada. It's amazing. It's a paying site, but well worth every penny. Number 5, it's not that expensive either. And then we have Migration, which is a free site, but I donate to it through PayPal, just because I, want to support what they do. And then we have Facebook, Filles du Roi Descendants, which is a lovely, lovely Facebook group of about over 5,000 by now. And they have, just a lot of information, a lot of sharing. It's a wonderful way to kind of immerse yourself in that kind of culture of people who also are fascinated by their Filles du Roi ancestry. So check that out if you will. And episode 116, Marguerite Pacquet was, like I said, there is some doubt as to whether she was a fille du roi or not. I think she is, but I bow to, people with greater wisdom and insight than I do. But for me, she's part of the whole ensemble, and she had, between her 2 husbands, she would have 91 descendants by 1729, a remarkable achievement. And she was obviously a woman of great strength and endurance, and to have been left alone with, to be pregnant and lose your husband and have 2 small children, just amazing strength. And for that, we thank her and we bless her memory. And I will see you on episode 117. Until then, au revoir.